Well, hello, hey, welcome to the MNM podcast. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Sega Seth.
Hey, it's me on my yo-yo.
It's me, I'm on a yo-yo. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Brody was going to say.
No,
it
yeah.
was Vale. Vale McCorn.
I mean, they should have probably recognized my voice by now.
I would
all
hope
the
so.
three viewers we have.
Yeah, well, hey, 3 is better than 0.
That's fair.
So,
One being my dad, one being your aunt.
yep, and I'm content with that.
Yep.
Well, you know what? We get about 50 views on each podcast, and that's 50 people that take interest in hearing us talk.
You got to start somewhere.
That's the way I look at it. John Cena worked at a gym, and J.K. Rowling was writing on napkins.
Starting with wrestling,
That'll be a good transition.
Adam Copeland in AEW.
Yeah, so we kind of were talking about this last week, and it happened. Edge debuted in AEW. Now, I, for one, am super surprised by this because Edge is a WWE guy through and through. The only other person that was that loyal to WWE through the 90s, well, he was late 90s, and the 2000s was the only people, three people come to mind. Triple H, Undertaker,
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
and Edge, I would say, are the 3 most loyal to WWE.
WWE
Afterwards, John Cena, of course, Randy Orton, they were... Mysterio.
Mysterio's kind of spread his wings.
He
and
spread a
gone
little
out.
bit. He was in Lucha
But
Underground.
I think he'll retire in WWE.
Yeah, I'm sure all
With
those
his
guys
son,
will.
yeah.
All those guys will, except Edge. I mean, Edge already retired in WWE,
Yeah.
but... Yeah.
Adam Copeland.
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't
It's
see
Edge.
The Wrestle Dream post show. Did any of you see any of that?
I did see that.
No, I did not.
I did see that her daughter said, or his daughter said,
Oh, that was awesome.
said, go be happy and go hang with Uncle Jay.
Which, as a big Christian, Mark, that
I
made
didn't
me
watch the-
really
I didn't watch
happy.
the full pre-show though.
It was
Or
funny
the
because
post-show.
MJF was getting interviewed about possible opponents in the future, and he was talking about Malachi Black. He said Edge, and Tony Khan goes, "Whoa!" He goes, "Adam Copeland."
Oh my!
It was fun.
There was a,
Yeah,
But come on, dude. He's been known as Edge for 30 years
they're
almost.
throwing
Come
all that
on.
stuff out. On AEW, they said, "Oh, Christian has gotten his edge back or whatever." Like,
Yeah,
they
come
belittle-
on.
Yeah, they I didn't watch Dynamite Wednesday, but I did hear that Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho ran into Adam, and Kenny Omega said, "You really had us on the edge of our seats."
I'm sure that's gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes like a
There was
a super running thing.
There was a good segment too where Adam came out and hugged Christian, and Christian being the heel, he went, "Go F yourself."
Yeah, I saw that segment. Yeah, I watched
Now
that.
he
I
has a
watched most of
GFY. Now
Dynamite.
he has a GFY shirt, and I kind of want it.
I wanted to
Christian is doing the best work he's done
since
almost-
Impact.
Yeah.
I really
Even
like.
this is
I
my
really
favorite
like-
Christian ever.
I would
Christian is-
say.
Go ahead.
I would say outside of Edge and Christian, because it's like in his singles run, I would say his Impact run personally was probably my favorite arc of Christian because he never really got his time in WWE. I would say that it's neck and neck with the AEW stuff, but his run in Impact, not a lot of people talk about, but that was some of the best. His singles competitor work in Impact was amazing.
Even the second run at Impact, right when he came
Yeah,
back to
absolutely.
AEW, and he won the champ, and he beat Kenny Omega.
I'm just talking overall,
Yeah,
but
right.
yes, absolutely. That second run, TNA, despite when you had Sasquatch on there, and and when it was more like WCW from 2000, it had a lot of it has, and now I mean it's better than it's ever been right now, at least within the last 10 years. Impact's really proven themselves. You have some great stars and great matches.
They'll always get hate. Well, I mean, without Impact, you never get the main stage stars of like AJ Styles,
Yeah.
Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels.
And people that never made it to WWE, like Abyss,
Yeah.
where they have whole legends that wrestling fans just don't know about. Oh boy, I dropped something. Oh well, nothing
Knocked
important.
over my mic, jerk.
Oh,
See how
Hopefully
it
that still works.
I don't know what it was.
is. Check. Yeah,
Everybody's mic still works, but
Okay.
leave it to us to break something.
Anyway, Adam Copeland, he's gonna have. I think he's gonna have some fun matches. Obviously, we can't expect them there for a long time.
I find it kind of weird that is it his first match like Luchasaurus or something?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean it makes sense. Luchasaurus is a smart guy. He's a safe worker.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really have him go up against anybody. Like, it's a good thing that, as much as I love him, Punk's not very safe.
It's like that would have been a fun little thing to do in AEW
Yeah.
all these years. I think him and like Malachi and him and Edge, him and Kenny Omega. I was just him and Kenny.
Gonna be like SummerSlam.
I'm looking
90s.
forward to
Adam
MJF.
Copeland versus Edge.
MJF is kind of like...
and Adam Copeland on the microphone is going to be phenomenal.
MJF is like a new season of South Park to me. I always know that you're going to have something funny to say.
Yeah.
I always know that I'm going to be entertained, even if it's not as good. Every time he picks up a microphone, I know I'm going to be I know I'm going to enjoy that that segment. But so Edge Wrestle Talk over. We're gonna transition here.
What about Tango Conversation?
Do what?
You said Wrestle Talk. I said, what about Tango Conversation?
Anyways, so we're gonna.
We're starting with honorable mentions and shit right now of this week.
So, to begin with,
I actually have 2 this week.
Vale had a really good idea. It was horror movies that never got sequels, the best ones,
or remakes,
or remake,
Just one-offs.
or shows, or
no planned sequels, or any kind of like sequels that are so quote unquote in development.
Right, which in development can mean anything, because there's like a movie on my list that they've talked about making something about for years.
Right, as long as there's nothing.
As long as there's nothing officially, and it's not being made like right now, like The Exorcist. You know, outside of there being sequels.
I think that's a legacy sequel.
One of mine may be disqualified because I learned about something about it, but I mean, it's been remade in India, very off budget, almost no money. Yes, one of mine. Apparently, I found out, but either way, I immediately went and researched it up about how low budget it is and how it's one of those
I've had to do
Bollywood type movies. So I don't think I'm gonna count it. I'm gonna count that more as a
honorable mention.
No, the movie I'm still gonna count because it's higher on my list.
Right. Okay.
But apparently it's got an Indian remake or something like very low budget, very low quality. So I'm just kind of gonna.
It's a gray area.
Yeah, it's a gray area because I don't think it's essentially a remake. I think it's a reimagining that the Indian crowd may have created. I think it's more of a reimagining with the same kind of story because obviously I didn't hear about it or none of us have heard about it. I promise when I tell you guys which one it is, you're not going to know that it was there's an Indian remake of it. Yes.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Outside of like Hammer and Universal movies that got remade over there, which most of those are public domain. But I don't know how public domain works overseas.
But you said you got two honorable. I've got a dishonorable and an honorable.
I've got an overhyped one as a dishonorable, but my honorable mention will be Cabin in the Woods. It was a lot of fun to revisit. I just enjoyed all the other movies on this list a lot more. I revisited a lot of movies on this list, and a lot of them, one of the movies on there is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. One of the other movies on there I had only seen once. But my honorable mention, of course, Cabin of the Woods. A lot of fun. If you haven't checked it out, it's a unique concept.
Probably one of the most meta horror movies you'll ever see.
Yeah, and you're gonna hear.
We watched it a couple days ago.
Yeah,
at my house.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun to revisit, and the thing about it is that it's one of those things where there should be sequels. There should be sequels about that. Yeah. You could do so much with that.
So many stories, all the different possibilities you could do with that story.
You could do like a Monster Twilight Zone, like a Monster of the Week type thing with that, and it would be so interesting. But that's my honorable mention.
You want to do your overhyped?
Yes, my overhyped one is the Babadook.
Oh, okay.
I'm not one.
I still haven't watched that all the way through.
I'm not one for elevated horror. I think it's just a way for pretentious people to justify liking a horror movie.
Right.
I don't think it's directly bad. I just think that everybody hyped it up so much that when I saw it, I was like, what, like, what is the hype behind it? Insidious. One of these weeks we're gonna do overhyped horror movies, but that one definitely is at the top of the list. Really?
Okay.
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll do that one eventually.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the later sequels to Insidious are actually good. Like
I've heard that.
The fourth one might be one of the best ones, surprisingly.
That was another one that everybody overhyped.
The last one was actually pretty good.
So that's my, overhyped one. So go ahead, Bill.
Okay. So I guess I'll start with my dishonorable mention, dishonorable mention, because I know it's not going to be on any.
Mention? What do you mention?
Hey.
150?
No, I did way more than 150. But not way more. But I didn't know. I knew it was going to be on any of your lists. It's a guilty pleasure for me. It's not a good movie at all, but it's fun to go back and revisit just because of how wild it is, and it's Jennifer's Body.
I'm not big on that.
I'm not either.
I know.
My ex loved that movie, and she watched it all the time.
But it's stupid. It's over the top. It's Megan Fox has claimed it as the movie she is most proud of. The movie she had the most fun acting in.
Right.
It's stupid. It's got no point. There's some bad acting in it. But I went and sat down and rewatched it, and I had legitimate fun just sitting there watching the entire movie all the way through. I hadn't seen it in a couple years. I had a good time. Dishonorable mention. Honorable mention is actually the same as Seth's, Cabin in the Woods. We had a fun time rewatching it.
Yeah.
It's great. I love the different story. I love the possibilities, how they go into the basement and whatever objects they grab or the things that...
Yeah.
It
was kind of like a RPG, like where your actions... Why do I have headphones on? It's where your actions have consequences, and they affect it later, kind of like an RPG.
Right. But honorable mention, Cabin in the Woods. It's a fun movie. It's a fun idea. Hopefully, it's on this list, but maybe one day they'll do a spin-off or a sequel or some kind of twist on it to where maybe we could see what happened in Japan for one of these sacrifices, or what happened in another country for one of these. You could do so many things.
Yeah, there's so many things you can do.
But right now,
make a merman movie. Do it. Do it.
But as of right now, Cabin in the Woods, my honorable mention. Go for it.
So, my first honorable mention is, and it was really hard to take this off because it was originally on my list, but something topped it. My first honorable mention is The Visit.
Oh yeah, that was a surprisingly good hit.
I'm very picky about my M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Who shouldn't be?
There's only I can probably count on one finger how many I really, really love. But I mean, the concept for it is awesome. It's basically about these two kids that go visit their grandparents, and their grandparents are not all there. I'm just gonna say that right now. I'm not gonna give away too much.
Yeah, because
of the story,
with Shyamalan movies,
it's a very twisted film. It's it's kind of different from his usual style.
Yeah, and you also have a sense throughout the feeling, or this is a little bit of a spoiler, but kind of not. But you have a sense throughout the movie that something paranormal is going on.
Yeah.
And you think something's going on.
The twist at the end, is amazing.
But
It's probably his best twist, I think.
Correct. I've seen that movie twice in theaters.
Yeah,
very good.
I was very surprised when we saw it, and it was actually good. I am not one for I'm not big on Shyamalan. I don't really like Sixth Sense like that. I think Sixth Sense is a little overhyped myself. I am much more into his later stuff than I am his older stuff. I didn't like Old too much, but The Visit was good, and of course I liked Split.
Split was amazing.
And what is the what Glass? Was that
Glass? That was the third movie in the
yeah, because it's Unbreakable, Split, and Glass, right?
Glass
I like Unbreakable.
Glass wasn't horrible. It wasn't great.
No,
it wasn't too bad.
I don't remember much about it, but Shyamalan stuff, to me, it feels like when you eliminate the twist, it takes away the enjoyment of rewatching it, because you just know everything that's going to happen. So I can't really praise him too much, but The Visit, The Visit's great.
And that's the fun thing about The Visit, is you can go back and certain moments can still be the old lady crawling underneath the house playing hide and seek.
The first time I watched that, I jumped. That scared me. Or
her having the sundowns and running back and forth naked in front of the kid's bedroom.
Yeah.
That scene.
Or just like the uneasy. It's a very uneasy feeling film.
He does that well. I will say that.
And it's like the scene where they open the door and she's just like
scratching on the wall.
And scratching on the wall.
So, fun fact, when that movie came out, Vale, Damien, and Eric and I were in Philly.
Yep, for
RetroCon, and that movie came out, and we went and we saw it, and it's not really a spoiler, but like I said to Eric, if they turn out to be aliens, I'm just gonna lose it. But
I remember that.
Yeah, the next day we were at RetroCon, and I ran into Doug. I was there to meet Doug Walker for the first time, and I said to Doug, I was like, "Yeah, surprising." Who makes fun of Shyamalan all the time? He had Shyamalan month one time. I said, "Yeah, actually, The Visit's actually pretty good." He was like, "Yeah, that's what I keep hearing," and I walked away, and I was just like, I just shot the shit with Doug Walker about movies, and it was just about the Visit. Yeah. So I don't get to tell that story too often.
Overall, it's a fun movie. Definitely check it out. My second honorable mention is a pretty recent film that I actually really like. It's called Skinamarink.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
I keep hearing about that.
It's basically it's a very, very low budget movie. Like, it's almost shot in a way to make you think like it was made in like the 90s. Like it has like
I've seen parts of that.
It has like the camera green and everything. Let me see what the budget was. The budget was literally $15,000.
Oh my god!
The director literally shot it at his childhood home, and it made back $2.1 million.
I've seen parts of that on YouTube Shorts and stuff like that.
You told me the feeling you got watching that movie was like being uncomfortable in the dark as a kid.
Yeah, it gives you that feeling of like when you're a child and you just feel so defenseless, and like that uneasy feeling of like being in the dark and like being afraid, and it's like there's shots in that movie of literally nothing, but it looks like there could be something there.
Yeah.
And it's basically just about these two kids. They wake up in the middle of the night. Their parents are gone. The windows are gone. The doors are gone. And it's just basically like it's definitely a slow burn of a movie.
I don't know where I can watch that.
I mean, I have it. We can watch it one night.
Yeah, I would love to do that. We should do that.
It's definitely
I'd love to do that.
It's definitely a movie to watch late at night because it's a very darkly lit film.
At his house, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, it's a very darkly lit film. Like I wouldn't really recommend it watching it in the day during with a lot of light because of how darkly lit the movie is. But
we'll do it one night at my house, and we'll just light a candle or something in that living room.
Right. We did that with House with Thousand Corpse.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Skinamarink, definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. Very, very low budget movie. It's a slow burn of a film, but the jump scares are great. It got me a couple times, which is really hard to do with us, just because we're so desensitized by the genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my second honorable mention. Definitely check it out if you haven't.
So I guess we'll go to my number 5. I didn't say 1.
Yeah.
I said 5. I got it this week.
Well, you know me. I'm just gonna go in no order.
Mine actually kind of is in order. At least for number 2 and 1. Number 5 was a movie I watched forever ago, and I ended up rewatching it with Trey this week. And I ended up realizing that I do love it way more than I realized. The Faculty.
I don't think I've seen that.
That movie is awesome. Mm-hmm. It's basically Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and a zombie movie,
Huh.
all rolled into one with like elements of The Breakfast Club. Like just all things that I can definitely enjoy.
Right.
For those of you who don't know, the movie is about a parasite that infects people, and it infects this whole town, and it's like Body Snatchers where they try, or like Stranger Things is a good comparison, where like the thing that was inside Will in season 2, where it was like he was still himself, but he was like possessed. Yeah, it's like possession kind of. And they have to go through the town, and it's unlikely people. Elijah, the cast is crazy. Elijah Wood is in it. The guy who played the military school principal general from Malcolm in the Middle is in it. Selma Hayek.
O'Donnell.
Yeah, Rosie O'Donnell.
Selma
Hayek's in it.
Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart's in it. Yeah.
Written by Kevin Williamson too.
Yep.
Directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez directed it. It's very underrated. I think the first time I watched it was on like Sci-Fi or something, but rewatching it this week after I got it on Blu-ray, I genuinely love this movie. It could be because they're a real depiction of kids. Oh, Danny Masterson, unfortunately, is in it. Wow. Yeah, of all people. And he's literally credited as fuck up number 1.
Of course.
Because he just plays a burnout. But yeah, it's really surprisingly, but the way they depict these kids, it definitely was how we were in school, and I really liked it. I thought it was good.
Is that your number 5?
Yeah, it's not my number 5. Checking out my hashish. Yeah.
But okay. My number 5, I know it's not on either of y'all's again, and a repeat. It's not a good movie, but as the extreme guy, it's something that stands out to me in one-off horror, and it's Cannibal Holocaust. I know.
I didn't like it.
I know.
You looked everywhere for that movie. You found it. Shout out to where we found it, because tell that story.
Yes, the Exchange in Ohio. I don't know what town it is in Ohio.
Yeah.
It is the coolest store me and Seth
yes,
ever been
to this day. Yeah.
Yes, we need to go there. Me and Seth walked in this place, just not even expect. My mom and everybody had went to the football
Hall of. It was the Football Hall of Fame.
Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And me and Seth were not interested at all.
No.
So we went to the mall in Ohio.
Yeah.
Whatever mall it was, and then we asked if there was an FYE or anything around, and they told us to go across the street to the Exchange. We walked to the Exchange. In there is anything as a nerd you could ever
anything you could want.
Video game systems, movies, figurines.
It was like
games you've never fucking think.
The best way I can describe it is like if Retro Replay and Second and Charles did the fusion dance, because it was so organized. Yeah. The organization was great. Yeah. And like it had insane amount, like I'm literally like just from wall to wall, movies, action figures, video games, comic books
in different aisles.
Yeah, just insane. And I found American Movie there that I had been looking for forever.
I found Cannibal
Holocaust, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It was a lot of movies that we were both looking for that we all found there. I would love to go back there.
We need to. I think the three of us definitely need to take a trip.
Yeah, bring Eric along too, because it was just me and you.
Yeah.
And we were just like, oh my god, this place is awesome.
But yes, it's not a great movie. It's definitely got its
historical impact is more preeminent.
I'll say that.
Present.
I respect it more than I like it.
Because it's one of the very early, if not the first, found footage horror film.
Yes, and that's one of the things. As the extreme guy, it's the thing that sticks out to me. The fact that they had to bring the director into court to prove that these people weren't actually dead.
It was like pro wrestling.
Yeah,
you had to. Yeah,
he kayfabes the fuck out of them.
That's what it is. Yeah.
He thought he made the actors go into hiding for everyone to believe they were actually dead. Yeah. It was the insane lengths they went to.
It's like
I watched it once. I've never really seen it all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I'm gonna attempt to watch it at some point, but I'm not into the whole cannibal thing.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm not either.
You know, I get why people are, but
like Green Inferno, I didn't really like.
Yeah,
I think I like the idea of the cannibal thing because it's one of the most taboo things.
And it's gruesome to think about.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
and obviously, you guys know me. I'm looking for that
right.
extra. I want that oomph. I like that. I like the shock factor.
I couldn't see you sitting down and watching like black and white Frankenstein or something like that. Yeah,
that's your thing.
And I can't sit down and watch the turtle getting its head ripped off in Cannibal. Oh my god, I hated that. Oh my god, I hated that.
I don't agree with that. They actually harmed real animals in the movie.
Yeah, obviously, we're all animal lovers here, and we don't endorse that.
Okay.
No.
They could have done way better. They could have done it without it. I mean, there's the scene with the lady with the spike through her body and coming out her mouth.
That's one of the more iconic shots of the movie.
That's probably the iconic shot.
That's one of all the posters.
It's disturbing. It's uncomfortable.
It's very hard to find too.
Yes, if you can stomach to sit through it. Like, go for it.
You found it
through history.
Like I have it at home. Like
I don't.
Part
have it.
Part of me wants to get rid of it, but the other part of me wants to keep it because it's a historic film in the genre, and it's just really hard to find. I mean, I found it at the Soundgarden of all places for like $20.
If you get rid of it, let me know.
Yeah, because didn't you get your?
I mean,
paid
if
like
I get rid
$10.
of it, I'm giving it to you.
Yeah,
so.
I'll 100%.
We cycle through stuff.
Number 5, Cannibal Holocaust. Go ahead.
So my number 5, and this is like I said, this is no particular order. This is just what I put for number 5. My number 5 is another pretty recent film, Barbarian. That movie,
yes.
That movie,
I'm glad I didn't even think about that.
The one if I were to say one thing about that movie, it's not what you think it's about when you first watch it or see the trailer. It's disturbing.
Yeah.
It builds tension very well. The jump scares are great. It's just, I mean, you can't.
Justin Long is awesome in that too.
You can't really talk about it without giving it away.
Yeah,
you know?
It's one of those things you just have to see.
Yeah.
I won't give much of my 2 cents because that movie is on my list. I won't give much, but yes, Barbarian, fantastic. Yeah.
It was a sleeper hit. Like afterwards, people were picking. I remember that came out around the same time as Smile, which a lot of people liked, and I thought was okay. Yeah. But I saw that, and I thought that was phenomenally better.
To me, as far as like a horror movie set in a house, there's nothing scarier than a set of stairs that leads to the underground. That's already in a basement.
Yeah,
you just look at that dark staircase.
Yeah.
And it's like, ugh.
And you can't talk about it at all. You can't tell. They do a Psycho thing where they show you an actor that you think's going to be in it for a long time.
Big fake outs.
It's a big fake out.
Even the humor in it is good.
Yeah.
Like Justin Long, like I said, is pretty great in it.
For some reason, he always plays dirtbags. Has he ever played
a scumbag?
He's a scumbag in Tusk, but I guess in Clerks 3 he was kind of funny. Yeah. But he had like a he played a scumbag in Reboot because he was the lawyer.
Yeah,
and he didn't really.
And then he switched sides.
Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, he's done like animated voice roles, like F is for Family.
Yeah,
but he's a scumbag in that. But he's a teenager. He plays Kevin, so like.
But
and Alvin in the Chipmunks, he's the voice of Alvin.
No, is he Alvin?
He's Alvin. I learned that in the LS Mark video. Yes, he is Alvin. Yeah.
But yeah. Overall, Barbarian was definitely in my top 3 horror films of that year. What was it like? Was it last year?
Yeah, it was last year. It was honestly around that time was where I said we were in a horror renaissance. I would say animation and horror.
2022 was probably overall the best year for horror in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Probably.
As it led into 2023.
Yeah.
Like I would say that it all kicked off in like 2021, and it's just kept going, and to this day, horror and animation are single-handedly Hollywood's biggest stuff right now.
If you love twists in your horror films and it's a great movie. Definitely check it out.
So my number 4. So it's kind of funny. I was debating between 2 movies, and they're both called Trick or Treat.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I know, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's a couple movies from there's a movie in the 40s called that, but Trick or Treat, the one from the 80s,
And 07.
and then there's the one in 07. And I didn't think about it, but I knew Trick or Treat was going to be on the 07 one was going to be on my list because I love that movie. But I forgot about the other one, and I watched it.
I mean, they're two different movies. But
Yeah.
no.
I watched it. So for those of you who don't know, Trick or Treat in the 80s one is nothing like the other one.
No.
It
It's technically two different titles.
it's-
It's Trick or Treat, and then the new one is
Trick or Treat.
Trick or
Yeah,
Treat,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the-
So
like the
instead of going
break-
in the synopsis, because the one from the 80s, I can't even begin to talk about. If you're a metalhead,
I mean,
definitely check it out.
mixes metal and horror.
Yeah,
You know.
metal and horror. That's really all I'm gonna say.
It's got two cameos, Gene Simmons and Ozzy.
But they're on the cover,
Yeah.
and they are not in the movie that long.
No, they're
But
cameos. That's what
Ozzy plays a priest,
Yeah.
and I thought that was brilliant.
He's basically talking about basically how heavy metal music is
Yeah,
ruining the culture,
which is great.
Which is a great
Yeah.
juxtaposition.
So Trick or Treat, and then the anthology one, from 07, I genuinely think is one of the most fucked up movies that people don't talk about.
Oh, it definitely is.
Do you think it's an anthology? Because I thought like all the stories kind of tie together.
I guess it's like Pulp
It's
Fiction.
an anthology, but like it's a horror. It's a horror anthology done in the style of Tarantino.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's a
Yeah.
perfect way to sum it up. It's like Pulp Fiction, or like kind of like the 22 short films about Springfield episode of The Simpsons, where everything leads into different stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I sat through that movie actually again this morning because my girlfriend had never seen it and she wants to see all the ones. She bought a horror cup and she wants to watch all the movies of the characters that are on it.
Yeah,
And
which
she had
for
never seen Trick or Treat.
for a while that movie was obscure. Nobody really talked about it.
It's only been in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It seems like
Came
it's,
out in 2007.
Yeah, and everybody kind of slept on it. And I remember I had seen it on FearNet or something, and I was like, yeah, it was cool. And then I was talking to Eric about it years later, and Eric's like, yeah, that part where that kid throws up blood from the Halloween candy. I was like, I don't remember that. And he was like, oh yeah, dude, you need to check it out.
It's a messed up movie.
Yeah, and I watched it. I was like, dude, I love this movie. And now, and talk about a movie that makes you feel like Halloween.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh my god,
Other than the original Halloween.
it's so bright and orange. Like it
well,
is.
you have to respect Halloween. That's Sam's whole thing.
And you know what, Sam? I love you for it. I really do. So if you haven't seen either of those, I would probably recommend Trick or Treat, the 07 one.
2007 one over that.
Yeah, for the other one is just something I really love. Like, it's just an 80s stereotypical outcast type thing that I fall for, and I love
Corey
it.
Taylor, who you talk trash about, he loves that movie.
I do love that movie. I love that movie. I think it's great, and I can see where Corey Taylor would love that movie. But yeah, the other one,
People called him. He said people called him Ragman in high school.
yeah, I love it. So yeah, Trick or Treat for both of those ones.
Perfect. My number 4. I don't think either of y'all have seen it, but it's Capture, Kill, Release.
You sounded like the Wii. Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
And then all the people in Wii bowling.
Yeah,
jump
yeah,
sideways
yeah.
back.
That's
But,
when you throw the bowling ball back.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're like, ah!
It's Capture, Kill,
I
Release.
don't think I've heard of that.
It's,
I haven't heard of that either.
Very low budget. Me and Eric watched it a couple years ago, and then I rewatched it maybe last month. So it's about a couple, and the way they want to spice up their relationship, somehow they need to murder somebody together. And the girl seems really, really into it, and the guy seems more uncomfortable as the movie
Oh
goes
yeah, you
along.
told me about this.
So at one point, like, the girl, she kidnaps an animal and she takes it out and she has no emotions about it. It's not a dog, Brody.
That's what I was gonna ask.
She takes out an animal and she has no emotion about it. And the guy's like crying over it almost. So she hurries the process along. They end up murdering someone in this Corey fashion way. And I don't want to give away the ending, but they go through with it. The girl seems to love it. The guy seems extremely uncomfortable the entire movie. It's low budget, but the gore is top notch. It's kind of like a found footage where
Yeah.
because they record their whole
That's cool.
kind of interaction. They record them going to like the Home Depot or whatever and picking up this stuff to get somebody.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's good.
That's where
gore.
found footage really
There's stuff
shines.
They're chopping a body up in the bathtub and they gotta bleach it afterwards. It's showing the whole process of the murder.
It
was a while. I think it was a decade ago or something. Now.
Every time I see like a scene like that where they put the body in the bathtub, you know what I think of?
I know what you're thinking.
Breaking Bad. Yeah, with Breaking Bad, where they put the body in the bathtub and it falls through the floor and just, oh my god, what an awful, awful experience.
Capture, Kill, Release. It's on Tubi right now.
Wow.
If you,
dude, that looks interesting.
It's very fun. Like I said, the girl's very in love, very loving the fact of committing this act.
Which is interesting, because normally it would be the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's got a fucked up ending, and it's fun to watch. Go check it out.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands right now. Number 4, Capture, Kill, Release.
And I would think when we talk about movies, I think it would be a good way for us to tell you where you can watch it, like Vale just did.
Yeah. I think Barbarian. So
it's on Max.
So just real quick.
Yeah, it's on Max.
My movies, The Visit and Skinamarink. Let me see. I don't know if Skinamarink is
obviously, to be perfectly honest with you,
The Visit's on Peacock. If you have Peacock. Let's see what's Skinamarink.
buy physical media.
Yes.
Buy physical media. If you can have the opportunity, if it's not like $100 DVD, support a local place. Go online. Support local media. Support physical media. I know it's easier said than done, but when it comes to movies, there's it's not like records where you have to have a specific thing. DVD players are in everything now, and this is a small tangent that I want to go on. Support physical media. Absolutely, before things are gone. Because when you stream, you own nothing. They dictate what you can and can't watch. Yep. And not to sound like Alex Jones here or something like that, where I'm telling you, they're making the frog gay. I'm just saying that you obviously don't have to have a library of films like we do, but it's a good way to preserve something.
Yeah, and honestly, if you watch it on streaming and you really like it, go pick it up.
Go pick it up. Yeah.
Because most of the time, that's what I do. Like, if it's a movie I really love, I'll watch it on streaming first if it's available, and then I'll go pick it up. Or if it's a movie I really want to see, I'll just flat out pay for it.
Right. Yeah.
Barbarian, though, I think is on Max.
Yes.
Which everyone seems to have. So you have no excuse to not watch it. So go watch it.
Okay, go ahead, Brody. It's a small tangent.
So my number 4 is Smile. That might have been. That was definitely one of the best horror films released last year. It's a very bleak movie.
Yes.
It's very dark, very. It's very dark, very bleak. The premise for it is insane. Basically,
the promotions for it were insane too.
Oh my god, there was live baseball games where people were standing in the crowd just staring at the camera,
smiling.
So basically, the concept is this. I think she's a psychiatrist.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, she's a psychiatrist, and she ends up having this patient where. This patient just sees this creepy smile, and it makes her kill people, basically. And she sees the smile, and then she starts seeing horrible visions.
Well, it doesn't make you kill people. After you see the smile for a while, you kill yourself.
Right. But yeah, it's just a very dark, bleak movie. The ending's dark as hell. It's probably one of the darkest endings I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it
definitely does end on a pretty bleak note.
It's
definitely a psychological horror film. It messes with your mind.
100%. It's based in like a mental health setting.
Yeah.
It's based off the psychiatrist picking up something from one of these patients who was having this mental health break. It's very mental health based because other people can't see this. Other people can't understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
But But yeah, it's a great movie. Great at building dread, building tension. Like one of the scenes that always gets me is when her I think it's her doctor,
Yeah, her doctor.
psychiatrist keeps calling her,
Yeah.
and then like eventually like the voice just like shows up right behind
Yeah,
her.
that's
That scene always
terrifying.
And when her therapist actually starts smiling at her in that
Yes.
scene,
Yes.
oh my god, when they're sitting on the couch together,
Yes.
and she starts smiling, like, oh my
Yeah.
god, yes, creepy.
But it's a great movie. Great psychological horror. It's on well, the two main ones are Amazon Prime and Paramount Plus. But yeah, it's just a great movie. It's just a great little horror film that came out last year. It's actually based off of a short film that the director did.
I'd heard that. So
But yeah, that's my number 4.
So for my thing, do you guys want me to? If you want me to do a number 3, I can. Or would you like to count both Trick or Treats as 4 and 3?
It doesn't matter to me. If you've got another one, go ahead and throw it in. If not, then...
Okay, so I'm going with The Burning.
Oh, the other movie, okay.
Yeah, The Burning, which for those of you who don't know, is a horror movie starring it's got a lot of people in it, but to me,
A lot of people that would go on to have big careers.
which is a trope with horror,
Like,
where
the two main people are Holly Hunter and Jason Alexander.
which of course Jason Alexander I'm a big fan of, through his acting roles on
This is about to be the
Seinfeld.
greatest moment of your life.
Yeah. Curb Your Enthusiasm. George Costanza. Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's great in that.
The Burning's a lot of fun.
The Burning is amazing. And he was also on Duckman, which is a very underrated show that not a lot of people talk about. But an animated show. Really good animated show. But The Burning is basically... It's Friday the 13th without Jason.
Right.
So basically, the movie is about somebody that kind of gets pushed to their limit, and it's a prank gone very wrong. And the good way to sum up the movie is just sweat. You feel hot watching this movie. You could feel hot in the Arctic watching this movie. Everybody's sweating and everything's melting, and there's the infamous hedge trimmers thing.
Thomas Savini did the effects for that movie, I believe.
Yeah, and there's not much more I can really say about it until you see it, which is a common thing for this, with horror in particular.
This is one that I haven't seen that you had brought up
Yeah.
to me watching this past
It was
week.
between this and Cabin in the Woods.
It's a good 80s slasher.
Yeah, it's a little harder to find, so I don't know. I know it's on FearNet. I mean, Shudder.
That one you might want to buy physical.
But yeah, there's
I think I got like a cheap Blu-ray copy for like $20 on Amazon.
Yeah, I got a
It's on
15.
Tubi
Yeah.
right
Oh,
now.
okay, cool. So it's free. So definitely check that out. It's like I said, it's Friday the 13th. If you like Friday the 13th, you're gonna like The Burning.
It's almost like Friday the 13th on steroids, kind of.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
the kills in it are pretty
brutal.
compared to like
Brutal.
Friday the 13th.
The original, yeah.
So, to my knowledge, and unless I'm wrong, I looked it up, and there wasn't a sequel or anything like
I don't
that.
think there was.
So, but yeah, The Burning. So,
All right.
go ahead.
Well, my number 3 is Hush, which
That was a lot of fun.
I still have yet to watch that.
That was a lot of
I
fun.
watched that with you,
Yeah,
and it's about the deaf girl
yeah.
who,
Me, you, and Eric watched
yeah.
that. Yeah, and we also watched Norm of the North that night. So, which was scarier than
well, that was
Hush.
a better movie anyway.
Oh my god.
But Hush, it was fantastic. It's about the deaf girl who ends up getting stalked by this guy who's trying to get into her house and stuff like that. And you don't really ever think about that possibility. I mean, obviously, unless you're like deaf or blind or you have one of those physical impairments. But to think about from her point of view when you're sitting
especially
Oh,
sight.
Yes.
It's terrifying.
here, and sometimes like in the movie, like the audio will cut out to act like so you can hear exactly what
Yeah.
she hears, and like she'll be doing something in the sink, and the guy's standing directly behind her in the
It's
glass.
terrifying.
Because she can't hear shit.
I've seen clips of it.
Yeah, it's I did not expect it to be that good. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
It plays off the physical problems of this girl very well.
And she's not a Mary Sue.
No.
She's a fighter.
Yeah.
She fights
she
back.
Takes it to him.
It's not just some poor deaf chick getting her shit kicked in. This chick fights
she does what
back.
she can to survive.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. It's definitely a sleeper. I didn't think of it. We watched it on Netflix one random night.
Yeah. I think it's still on there.
It might be. It's still on Netflix, and then I also looked it up.
I love Netflix.
It's on Prime and Peacock too.
There you go.
If you want to check it out. So Hush is my number 3.
That's a great one.
Oh. Sorry.
Good.
I was thinking of Deep Purple.
Oh.
Anyway, my number 3.
Shallow Blue.
My number 3 is Maximum Overdrive.
Ah, man, I didn't think about that.
And it was actually last minute. It actually hit me on the way over here.
Really?
It wasn't on my list.
I didn't even think about that.
Because I was thinking about 80s horror for a sec. Like, when I was thinking about it, when I made my list, I'm like, well, 80s is just a bunch of fucking sequels and sequels. That's pretty much
slashers.
It. But then at Maximum Overdrive like hit me on my way over here. It's, people say it's not a good movie. I love it. It's not a great movie.
I love that
it's
movie.
Such a fun movie.
It's fun.
Is your replacement on this list, or can you tell us what you replaced with it?
What was it? I can't remember what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it's a really fun movie.
The soundtrack is so much fun too. It's
It's
just
literally
AC/DC.
AC/DC. That's all
Yeah.
it is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's got Emilio Estevez, a pre-Simpsons Yearly Smith before she went on to voice Lisa.
I forgot she was in that.
Yep.
Is he dead? Stephen King does a perfect cameo that I won't dare spoil for you.
Yeah. It's actually Stephen King's one and only directorial movie.
Really? Well, he directed the Shining miniseries too.
I'm talking about just movies.
Yeah.
Like, as far as theatrical movies, it's the only movie he directed, and he's openly admitted that he was coked out of his mind through the production.
You can tell.
Set, and it shows.
Yeah, you can tell.
But it's such a fun movie. It's basically about this comet that passes the Earth and makes, like, all the vehicles, electronic things, anything that's electronic or has a battery or has a plug-in comes to life and tries to murder everyone. It's super over the top. It's super cheesy, but it's such a fun movie. Yeah. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
If you love 80s horror,
yeah, do yourself a favor with that.
80s.
Or Stephen King.
It's an
very
essential 80s horror.
It's very Stephen King.
I've only seen that movie one time, and it was back in like 2010 after school one day at your house.
It's amazing.
That's a fun movie. It gets a bum rap, man.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is a cult classic. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Knock my block off.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space. What can I say that hasn't been said about this? I will tell you my personal experience with this film. I watched it on FearNet as a kid, and I thought it was stupid. I was a teenager. I thought it was dumb. I didn't think it was cool, and everybody talked about it. And then it was on Netflix, and I was like, oh, this movie's dumb. And I had fun rewatching it, and I grew to really love that movie. And I watched it last night and prepped for this, and I absolutely love that movie. The effects are awesome. It's the only movie ever directed by the Kyoto brothers. They normally do special effects for everything. Yep. They did Large Marge and Pee-wee's Big Adventure and a lot of other stuff.
Did they do the critters in the first one or just the second one?
One or two. One of them.
This is one I haven't seen yet. Me and my girlfriend have talked about sitting down. We need to watch
I've told you to watch this for years.
It's 80s cheese at its
best. It's a tribute to like B movies from the 50s.
Yeah.
Did you know that this movie only had $1.2 million of a budget?
Really?
That's it. And it made $42 million at the box office. Yeah.
It's still fantastic.
It's still very it's another it's another thing like Trick or Treat where it's caught on, but it's always been something that I really love. A friend of mine that passed away, it was his favorite movie, so within recent years I've always had it in my collection, but like I've always loved this movie I haven't always loved this movie is what I meant to say, but since since my adulthood, I have learned to just take it for what it is. It is, and there's nothing more to say. It literally is just killer clowns from outer space showing up in a town, and the effects are fun.
What the title is.
Yeah, it's a B movie from the 50s. It's what you expect it to be, and when people just don't appreciate that level of cheesiness and stupid, and like even for a cheesy film, the effects look
great.
Are amazing.
I mean, the people wrapped in the freaking
they look good, and yeah, I mean, I watched it on Blu-ray, and it looked amazing. It looked amazing.
Quote Joe Dante. He basically me quoting Joe Dante, quoting Lon Chaney. Lon Chaney once said that, the clowns are funny at the circus, but they're not funny at your door at midnight. And these clowns are at your door at midnight.
Yeah, it's not a super scary movie, but there are moments that will make you, like, I remember after the first time I saw it, I was like, it wasn't scary. Yeah. And then that night I'm laying in the dark, and I'm, like, thinking about that tall clown.
Yeah.
But...
the one that goes...
Yeah. And, like... there's a new game coming out for it, too, so I'm kind of hoping that... They've talked about a sequel before. It doesn't need it. Unless they're directing it. Yeah. But it's on Tubi, Pluto, YouTube. It's free to watch on YouTube, so there's no reason for you not to watch it. Definitely check it out. It's a cheap movie, too. You can find it in, like, bargain bins and stuff. I think I only paid, like, $6 for the Blu-ray. Right. But, yeah, Killer Clowns. Oh, the soundtrack... bitchin'. The Dickies did the soundtrack, and that circus theme cover gets me every time. So, go ahead before I make this the Killer Clown podcast.
Yeah, no.
I have a thing for clowns, and I know he does too. Everybody should.
But, my number 2 is the M. Night Shyamalan on this list is Old.
I don't like that movie.
So this is one that Brody hasn't seen.
And it's one I don't like.
I absolutely love the concept. I mean, the concept in entirety... So the way I can describe it is every single 30 minutes on this beach is 2 hours of these people's lives. So they age progressively. Like, there's a scene where... I mean...
You can't say too much.
Yeah.
It's Shyamalan.
Yeah, you can't say too much without giving
Yeah.
Every 30 minutes, these people age 2 hours. So, like, there's scenes... At the beginning, there's a 6 and an 8-year-old boy and girl. And throughout this movie, like, they end up going through the hormones because they age really rapidly. And at 14 and 15... And then they end up having sex together because they're rapidly aging so much. And then their baby gives birth, and because the baby's aging so rapidly, it dies on the beach. It's like a really fucked up movie.
It made me feel uncomfortable, which is your jam. But,
exactly. So there's a guy with mental illness, and because he progressively gets worse, he starts to try to harm other people. There's a lady who has a bone problem with her well, she don't get enough marrow or anything, or her bones aren't strong enough, so her bones start breaking, like falling apart and shit like that. And it's intense. Yeah. It's uncomfortable to watch these people age, and I don't want to say the twist at the end, but you're sitting there, you're watching these people age, you're watching these people go through the troubles they're having. It's disturbing, it's uncomfortable, it's one of, like, the 3 or 4 Shyamalan movies I like outside The Visit and outside Split. Yeah. And stuff like that. It's very good. I know Brody hasn't seen it, but my number 2...
watch it at some point.
Yeah. At some point. Hey, Brody, have you watched The Boys?
Yeah.
You're so funny. How many times do I have to say it?
Oh, quick tangent on that. Because I was at StellarCon yesterday, and the guy who played A-Train was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was in line, and I'm by myself, and I'm waiting, and there was a guy dressed as him, and he was beside me, and I just was like, whoa, hold on. And I looked beside me, and the guy was standing there. I was like, my dude, I had to double take. And the guy was like, oh, thank you. But I was just like, I literally had to double take. And then in my head, I'm like, if A-Train was standing next to me in real life, it would be fucking terrifying.
Was he in costume, or?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I wasn't there very long. The guy who created Underworld was there. I heard him talk, but I wasn't there very long. But yeah, quick tangent. I just wanted to say that.
Number 2, Old. It's great. Brody needs to watch it. I enjoy it.
And as far as the boys are concerned,
oh boy,
I'm putting this on record.
No pun intended.
I've said to these guys multiple times, once the new season gets announced, I will watch the first 2 seasons.
It's great.
I'm waiting for that to happen.
missing the spin-off series and also the animated series.
I don't care about the spin-off
I
series.
haven't done any of that.
The spin-off series great.
I am on a superhero break.
I kind of am
Because
too.
Marvel, after the last couple years, Marvel has just burned me out.
Yeah,
I need
I'm
a break
kind of
from
like that
superhero
too.
Stuff.
It's different.
It is different. I'm not big on superhero parodies.
No,
but
I'm kind of off the Marvel train for the time being.
yeah,
but,
me too.
but
No
that's
disrespect to Marvel or anything.
No,
it's
just too much at once. Like I still haven't even watched Loki yet. So
I haven't watched the first episode, but I will.
I'm gonna big nut once Secret War and shit like that.
And X-Men?
I'm excited for
X-Men,
that.
X-Men?
Fantastic Four, everything coming up. I'm sure we're gonna be there for it.
Vale and I could have a
we're kind of in a stagnant.
Yeah. Vale and I could have a whole podcast where we talk about Marvel, but it's just one of those things where a lot of people don't realize either that you and I have been consuming this our whole lives so far.
Yeah.
So, like, of course, when we, are going to be a little burned out by it. Loki I really liked, so I am going to watch that. And I will see the Marvels. The Marvels looks pretty promising. I didn't really like the first one, but like this one looks good.
It's at a weak point right now.
Yeah,
you don't have a lot of excitement.
Which is
going on.
fine because
it's in between big phases.
Yeah,
You're
so
kind of,
with X-Men.
A couple years ago before Infinity War and Endgame.
right.
My uncle said after Endgame that it was a series finale. Like he was like it was perfect, and he also said that when Kofi won the title, he was like it was a series finale. But to me that's No Way Home.
Yeah.
Like to me that was like I was like okay, nothing is gonna top this, and I'm biased because I love Spider-Man, but
At least for right now.
for right
You're
now,
gonna shit when the
I am going to
Yeah.
because the X-Men have always been my favorite
Yeah.
superhero team. So, okay,
But yeah,
so.
my number 2 was one of Seth's actually, and it was Trick or Treat.
Oh,
2007.
there we go.
So, I mean, there's not much to say that he already said about this movie. It's a great little anthology horror series that kind of gets thrown together. It's like Tarantino style. They all connect somehow. It's really messed up, but it's a fun movie. It puts you in the mood for the season. It's probably the most Halloween movie I've ever seen. More so than 78 Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, 78
It's
Halloween.
very based, yeah.
78 Halloween is like, a classic and for
Your
the
favorite movie.
Your
for the
your
season.
favorite horror movie of all
But-
time, yeah.
But like, I mean,
Yeah, probably
just
your
the-
second favorite movie.
the sights, the sounds, the freaking, I mean, everything about it.
It's like a comic book.
Yeah.
And that is an overarching theme in
Yeah.
it.
And it's just a great movie. It's got a really good cast too. But yeah, it's just an overall great movie. Go check it out if you haven't seen it.
I'm going to piggyback off of something I forgot to say. So, that guy just has a really good way to theme a movie and the way it looks at it. I know Bryan Singer was attached to it. I really hope he wasn't the director. But Krampus is the other movie he directed.
Okay.
So
That makes a lot of sense.
so it's like Christmas and Halloween. Like
Yeah.
it shows like negative things about the holiday. Like basically the overarching theme of both those movies: don't be a shit.
Yep.
Like just don't be a shit.
Don't be a bad
And he
person.
brings up Charlie Brown in both of them,
Yep.
which is funny to me. But yeah, I really like.
Respect Halloween. That's Sam's thing.
Yeah, that
Hold
which
up.
I'm with you. But yeah,
I know Birdie's gonna go watch the race momentarily.
yeah.
So do you want to run through one?
My number one, surprising fucking nobody. What do you think it is?
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the fucking Dead. Shaun of the Dead is my 7th favorite movie of all time.
7th.
7th.
Okay.
Probably 6th. Yeah, 7. It and Gremlins go back and forth,
Right.
but Shaun of the Dead was one of the first horror movies I saw as when I was actively watching, like pursuing them outside of monster movies and kaiju movies. Shaun of the Dead is perfect to me. It is the perfect movie. There is nothing about that movie that I don't like. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are layabouts. They play video games. They're just kind of not your typical adults, which I relate to. And, Simon Pegg always plays relatable characters. I always say, like, at this point in my life, if I had somebody play me in a movie, he would be the one I would want.
Right.
So, Edgar Wright directed it. It actually was inspired by an episode of his show called Spaced, which not a lot of people saw. I can't say enough good things about that show. It's one of my favorites of all time too, where he was playing Resident Evil all night and he saw zombies, and so he was fighting zombies in his head from playing Resident Evil all night.
Cool.
That's the origin of Shaun of the Dead, which is so cool. It's just a zombie movie, but there's good humor, there's good music.
Yes.
It is so fun. It's never had anything. It had a sequel comic, but never a movie. It's been left alone. It's technically a part of a trilogy, which was my biggest thing that I had to get basically approval for, because it was no secret that this was going to be on my list.
It's its own movie.
It's its own movie. It's a part of the Cornetto Three Flavors trilogy, where it's Three Flavors. Wasn't that the original trilogy for? Wasn't that the original name for the Rob Zombie trilogy?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I don't know.
I think it was the Evil 3 or something.
It's something like okay, but there's At World's End, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, but yeah, At World's End is probably another honorable mention too.
That's a good one.
That's a good sci-fi, in the same vein of like The Faculty, where it borderlines both. But Shaun of the Dead, I've loved this movie for as long as both of you guys have known me. It's been one of my favorite movies. I watch it all the time. I know every word to that movie. I've always said that it's me and Eric. Like to a T, it just reminds me of me and Eric. And the Edgar Wright staples are all in it. The good shots, the good it's just there's so many Easter eggs to other zombie movies throughout it. You can tell it's a passion project for him.
Right.
And every time you get those three guys together, and on the other elements, it's like Adam Sandler, where it's just like the same elements, but it works for him so well. Like he's probably, besides Kevin Smith, my favorite director. He directed Baby Driver.
Oh, really?
Simon
Yeah.
Pegg?
No, Nick Frost, Edgar Wright.
Oh.
Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim, Hot Fuzz, and obviously World's End. But yeah, enough about that. I love that movie, and I probably always will.
All right, my number one real quick. We ran
I
through.
mean, we don't have to go real quick. I don't have to get home right away.
Well, we're on the hour mark, so
I can always go back and watch it.
we're on the hour.
Only reason I wanted to get home was because it's close to the end of the season for NASCAR, and this is when it gets really, really good. Plus, my girl Liv Morgan is the Grand Marshal, so she'll be starting the engines. But I mean, I don't. Like I said, I don't have to get home right away. So we have some.
We're on the hour mark, so yeah.
Either way, my number one is Barbarian. Anyway, we've already talked about it.
Yeah.
So, as a longtime horror fan, it's like it takes very, very much to surprise me in horror anymore. It takes a lot to get to me. Watching the trailer to see Barbarian, and you think
it's nothing what it is, what you expect.
Like we explained earlier, I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to spoil. But to sit there and think that Bill Skarsgård is going to be such this horrible person, and then what happens?
Yeah, because
he's a horror darling too.
I wouldn't say he's like he comes off as a horrible person. He just comes off very suspicious.
Yes,
like
correct.
you think like he's going to do something,
right?
You know,
and
also mainly because he played Pennywise.
Yeah, like I said, he's a horror darling. Like everybody loves him.
But it's very uncomfortable. Like I said, like we've talked about already, the shock, the twist is fantastic. Justin Long's a dickhead. It's satisfying. I wish honestly they'd make more movies about a certain part in this movie that I won't talk about to spoil it. Yes, great movie. Watch the trailer and then go watch the movie because it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah.
Barbarian #1.
So my number one, and I'm really surprised that you guys did not have this on your list or on your honorable mentions because I think we all saw it. You're Next.
Oh,
I
shit.
did not think about
You're
that.
Next is probably one of my favorite horror films of all time within the last 10 years.
Yeah, I did like that. I didn't think about that.
It's absolutely amazing. It's basically about this family that gets back together after a long time, and it's a home invasion movie. It's these people that invade their home wearing like goat masks, sheep masks.
Yeah, do you think that helped inspire the Wyatt family? I want to piggyback off that because a lot of people have said that.
Maybe. Because Your Next came out in 2011. And Wyatt's debuted
in 2013.
Well, technically they debuted in WWE because they started in
NXT.
in like 2011.
Husky Harris.
So it's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a really fun movie. There's actually a lot of different people in there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken,
it was a big Netflix movie for a long time.
I think Ty West, the guy who directed X and Pearl, is in that movie.
Oh.
Yeah, he plays the he plays the I don't want to give it away because it'll give away something.
I wish.
But I mean, probably one of the best final girls, I would say.
Yeah.
In horror, because she kicks ass.
Yeah.
She's a lot of fun.
Let's see. Yeah, Ty West, Barbara Crampton, classic '80s horror actress who was in Reanimator. She's in that.
Oh, I love Reanimator.
But yeah, it's a very fun home invasion movie, and it's got a little bit of a fun twist to it too. But yeah, that's my number one. Of course, it's in no particular order, but that's my number one.
So that'll be our choices for this week. So to overarch it, mine are The Faculty, Trick or Treat, The Burning, Killer Clowns, and Shaun of the Dead. Vale's was
Cannibal Holocaust, Capture Kill Release, Hush, Old, Barbarian.
And Brody's was...
It was, what was that?
Silly boy.
Boy. So
we gotta do our picks real quick.
So we got Barbarian, Smile, Maximum Overdrive, Trick or Treat, and You're Next.
Yeah, so those are our little darlings of films. So we're gonna do the what you watching, what you reading, what you listening to, what you thinking about, I guess. I am currently... I don't know. I'm not Professor X. I look like him, but because I'm bald. No, I don't look like Patrick Stewart at all.
Break your legs and put you in a wheelchair. the look he gave me after that.
It was kind of tempting because would I get the powers?
It's almost Halloween.
That would be perfect. Yeah. Dude, I love when those wheelchairs have like cool. When people are, it sucks, and they make the best of it, and they have like speeder bikes and stuff attached to wheelchairs. I think that's awesome because then you're kind of stuck. You don't want to be Joe Swanson or Professor X every year, Not to make fun of handicapped people at all, but so this week I'm watching Parks and Rec again. Parks and Rec is one of my favorite shows ever, and it's not like The Office where I've rewatched it a billion times. I've only watched it all the way through once or twice, and my friend and I kept referencing it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back and rewatch it. And I started from like the third season instead of the first two, because it picks up right there.
Parks and Rec is like The Office. You can pretty much pick it up from any season.
Not any.
Really?
But yeah,
okay. But
because
it's one of those shows where you can just kind of flip on.
The relationships are very important. I've always said when it's The Office, I care more about the characters and stuff in The Office, but Parks and Rec is funnier. Like there's so many moments in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
But in a different way that it's funnier. It's both shows are like there's different things. It's DC and Marvel. Like there's things that I like about both things. Or Simpsons and Futurama that depending on the episode the other one will do better. I just love Greg Daniels. But yeah, Parks and Rec, it's on Peacock.
It's a great show.
Definitely. I don't feel like I need to plug it. It's great. It's great.
It's great. It's great.
He's fat.
He's fat. That's a reference.
That's a reference.
So I got two real quick picks. The one they're listening to Carnifex's
Necro Butcher.
Yeah. Yes. Not. Well, I was at Tournament of Death yesterday, but he wasn't there. But
I ran through that on Friday at work.
I thought you were gonna say I ran into Necro Butcher.
It's a fantastic album. It's got the angerness, the raw of the early albums, but the guitar work and the drum work has definitely.
Barber has a feature on it.
Yep. Yeah. A great album, great deathcore album. Listen to it from. Obviously, I'm a big Carnifex fan.
Yeah, I mean it's Carnifex at their best. It's classic Carnifex.
It's definitely
if you're into that.
Yeah, and it's a great album even after all these albums they've released.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Gen V. I'm 2 episodes in. It's the Boys spinoff.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's about this, just real quick, it's not spoiling anything, but the first episode opens up with this girl discovering that she has blood-bending powers.
Ew. Oh.
So, she's having,
Waterbenders can do that, too.
She's having her parents are watching something on TV. It's when A-Train actually gets inducted into the 7. It says 8 years ago.
Oh.
And the girl says, I have a stomachache. She has to go upstairs.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
So fuck you. That took me a minute.
She says she has a stomachache. She goes upstairs, and it turns out this girl's having her period for the first time. So she touches herself, and there's blood, and then you see the blood start to rise because she can control it. Her mom walks in the room. She gets startled by her mom busting in the room, and the blood turns into a spike and goes through her neck.
Oh my god.
So she starts crying and freaking out, and her mom's like, baby girl, it's okay. Her dad runs upstairs, and he's like, what the fuck did you do? So then she starts screaming, and then her mom explodes in all this blood and impales her dad.
That's the boys. That's the boys.
And that's the first 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah, because, I mean, without saying anything about the boys, it's, it's the same shit.
So, there's a lot of humor, a lot of darkness, a lot of violence. Gen V is great.
They referenced the boys this past week on Uni.
Did they?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Carnifex, Gen V. That's my picks.
So my picks, I'm not really listening to anything right now. I kind of just, so basically what I did last night was, I mean, I ran through the Carnifex album. That was great. I mean, I've had the Silver Scream 1 and 2 on repeat. Because I always put those on repeat in the month of October. Yep. But, basically what I did was I ran through all of Spotify's playlists, some of my favorite ones in rock and metal.
Yeah.
And just made one big playlist out of them. So I'm just kind of shuffling through all kinds of stuff. So I'm shuffling from new stuff to old stuff. As far as watching stuff goes, I ran through probably 6 or 7 of the Roseanne Halloween specials.
Hey, good shit.
Because I couldn't sleep. And I mean, those are always great. The first one's obviously my favorite. One of my favorite lines is Dan when he's dressed up as the experiment. He's like, "Got an aspirin? I've got a splitting headache." And he's got an axe in his head.
There's a really good moment in obviously I'm gonna shut up because I could talk about this all day. Roseanne is
whole episode.
Yeah. So Roseanne's one of my all-time favorite shows, and top 3 regardless. But the one that I really like that not a lot of people talk about is the one where it shows them younger, and you see Dan just as the caveman.
Yeah,
that's
great.
Great. That's a great little segment.
One, I think.
Yeah, and you see that's one thing that carries that show is the relationship between the two of them.
Definitely.
It's so genuine, and I would argue they are probably them and Hal and Lois from Malcolm in the Middle are the two most genuine sets of sitcom parents.
Dan Connor is hands down my favorite TV dad.
Mine too. Him and Gomez. And
I've
Uncle
also
Phil.
been watching the Treehouse of Horror episodes of The Simpsons. I always watch them every year. I think I'm on 12 or 13 right now.
That's when they start getting bad.
They've gotten a little weird.
Yeah, they'll do that.
But I'm not reading anything, but I have 2 things on my list. I actually just got it. The Silver Scream novelization, the true crime book they came out with.
Oh, wow, I didn't know they did that.
I just got that in the mail.
I didn't know they did that.
And it's written by Roy Merkin, who was the news reporter in all the videos.
That's
awesome. I flip through, and in each chapter is each song from the album.
That's awesome.
I think it's written they make it as written from Dr. Ian Black's notes,
right? And
basically the crime reports. I got that, and then
I gotta borrow that from you when you're done.
Yeah, it's a short book. It's only this big.
Right.
Next book after that is I bought American Psycho, the novel, because I've seen the movie a bunch of times, but I've never read the book because it was a book before it was a book before it was a movie.
Yep.
Yeah, that's.
Was it Stephen King?
No, I can't remember who wrote it.
Oh, okay.
But those are my picks.
So now we're doing Brody's really, really bad rad dad jokes. So let's take a look,
Did y'all
children.
hear about the Italian chef?
Oh, geez, what happened to him?
He passed away.
Okay, well, this is my last day on the podcast. It's good knowing y'all. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off?
I think I'm gonna go pee during this.
No. You don't get out of this.
All right, so
He's got like 3.
hey, what was the Sea Monster's favorite TV show?
What?
Whale of Fortune.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna assassinate myself.
Mamma mia suicida.
Okay, so how do you keep an ogre from smelling?
Don't worry about that. How do you keep a what?
An ogre from smelling.
I don't know.
Plug up his nose.
Okay.
It makes no sense.
That
I
makes
know.
no sense.
What did the one-armed ogre have in common with his broken watch? He didn't have a second hand.
Real got out of this, but I guess the ogre one plug up his nose because he smells bad, so he'd be smelling himself.
Yep.
So you keep him from smelling.
Yep. We got 2 more.
Oh no.
What do ghouls eat in Europe? Hungarian goulash.
Oh my god.
Alright, I'll only torture y'all with 1 more.
Y'all, it's just me.
What kind... No, I'm just talking about our audience.
Ugh.
'Cause I know they're cringing right now.
Who wouldn't?
Alright, our last one. Jeez. This one's rough. What kind of makeup does a ghoul put on? Mascara.
Well, that'll do it for this week.
Do you have an idea for our top 5 next week?
Yeah,
Or are we gonna rail it off tomorrow when in the group chat?
unless Brody has one.
Do you got an idea for our October spooky? Wait, how many more spooky podcasts should we
We have
have?
like 2. We can do like 2 or 3, I think.
2 or 3, yeah.
Next week.
We have 3 actually. So
Next-
15, 22, and
So
29.
next Sunday, before we pick a
Topic.
topic, did you want to do it later in the evening? Because I'm going to be at Monster Mania next Sunday.
Oh, we both will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play it by ear right
We'll
now.
play that by ear. It might
Okay.
be a
If we
day
don't-
late.
If we don't do it next week, we'll do it the following.
We can do Monday. So
That's
if
fine. Just,
oh, and disclaimer real quick, if you didn't see the community post, the last episode was lost. So hopefully one day we'll find it, but for the time being that this is going to be the
I was
4th
gonna
episode.
wait to announce this till Thursday because Brandon's birthday's coming up. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to announce this on the podcast. So I'm gonna play a few songs by each band that's playing at this concert that we're going to,
okay.
and then as we go on,
I'll only do like 5 seconds because I'll get hit with a copyright claim.
oh shit, that's right.
Just.
Okay, so all right, let me see if I can pick 2 of them. I'll just pick 2 of them. All right, so the first one is this. Actually, it'll be this song because this is one of the first songs that we both heard. Okay, so that's one band. All right.
Okay.
Who's that?
That's in this moment.
Oh, okay. I haven't listened to them in a long
Beautiful
time.
Tragedy by In This Moment.
I haven't heard
the
them in a
main
long
band
time.
that we're going to see. This is for Brandon's birthday.
You suck. You
No
guys suck.
fucking way.
You guys suck.
No way. What
You
is
guys
that?
suck.
New Year's Day and Avatar also?
Yep.
What?
New Year's Day, Avatar.
How
and
much
the
are tickets?
They were only like, let me see. I think mine was only. We're
Hey.
in section 115 if you want to get a ticket
How much
for
are
yourself.
tickets?
They weren't expensive.
All right, well, that'll wrap it up for this week.
We love y'all. We'll find.
Take care.
We'll find listeners
Like,
next week.
share, subscribe. I'll post it on the community post as soon as we know. Other than that, be good people, as James A. Janice says, and Q&A is always open, so feel free to comment. I love you guys. Take care.